So boys, good to be back, good to see you. We've got a big day today, Powell speaking. If I'm correct, he speaks twice a year, so it's a pretty big day for the markets. Yeah, if you give us a little bit of education and rundown on Powell.
Right, yeah, I mean, it used to be called the Humphrey Hawkins report, and he can basically talk to the Senate committee today. He speaks today and tomorrow, so two separate committees, and they're all listening. It'd be interesting today because obviously it's virtual, so they won't be there. So I don't know how many senators are on in the US, but I think like 500, and they can all ask him a question. He puts an answer in. So he's going to talk about two things today. Obviously, stimulus, vaccines, or say two things, and inflation, and whatever else he wants to talk about. So obviously there's a big disconnect at the moment in the market.
As well.
Cryptos, yeah, spoke about this yesterday. So it normally goes down for about 2-3 hours. So it will move the markets because
what markets will you be looking
well,
at?
yeah, good question. I think numerous. Obviously, you've got the indices,
you've got the
currencies, and commodities really, because we've got a slight disconnect that. He said at a last meeting 2 weeks ago, he spoke in the University of New York, I think it was, that he wanted total employment. And if you look at the figures over the last month, employment's got worse. And also he's worried about inflation, or not worried about inflation, but if you look at the retail sales and anything else, retail sales were about 5.1% last week, which shows it's inflation. And obviously, as we've been advocating that educated trade for the last 2-3 weeks, bond yields. Even Mr. Goldberg's become a bond trader. Yeah, not 007, about 003.5. You know, it's not really tall, obviously. but as you said, if the yields go up, it basically means that the market expects interest rates to go up. So the 10-year yields have gone from 0.6% to 1.39 yesterday on the 10-year, which basically means that there's a huge disconnect. Therefore, if he doesn't convince the market that he's happy with inflation and happy with employment, the indices can get to dump. Yeah. To put the right word. Yeah.
So that's what you'll be looking at today.
Yeah, and he has to convince people.
Yeah. So what, if it's not very convincing, we can see.
Yeah, I think he's not very convincing. And if he mentions the word taper, then it will come up. We won't say taper, but he will say he'll try and be as dovish as possible. And dovish, some of our members asked, what does dovish mean? Obviously, Hawke expects interest rates to go up. The Dove expects the interest rates to stay low. For those of you aware of our US interest rates, they're lower than they've been. So he wants to keep saying that accommodation.
At the same time, you've got to be prepared for another rally as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It said if he says enough things to convince the market, therefore it will go up. But if he doesn't, and remember he does have an out because in 2 weeks' time he's got the FOMC. It comes off. So at the moment, the market's massively poised to go either way.
Yeah.
And that's
what did Steve say? 2013.
2013, they tried to do the same thing. In that they tried to end quantitative easing and say the word taper, and the market dumped, and then he could come back the next day and said, maybe we shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Yeah, so you've got to be very careful with the word he uses, because it will affect the market. And as we said, he speaks today at 3 o'clock. It will go on for probably 2-3 hours, and again he speaks tomorrow. Okay. But remember, it's very boring. But I think he'll try and get in very early at 3 o'clock. To calm the markets down, because we've seen that this morning, obviously the DAX is like a 2% move very quickly, and the 2% the other way.
Still riding it now.
Yeah, I know, but I said that's the great thing for day traders and educated trade, especially, is the volatility and your risk management. Yeah. We saw a fast today that DAX came off between 8 and 8:30, 200 ticks. 300. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool.
All right, then, guys. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.